think, Roger, like this is super important for all of us to learn to do. So I would probably agree with Octopus that it's worth doing it even if we have to move slow.
Sure. I was thinking I'll be the guy going, what does that mean? Quite a bit. So
For sure.
Not sure if we have some minutes left to introduce some more questions in case Sean and Matt, you'd like to share some of your thoughts, or maybe, I don't know, if you have already nailed your questions.
Yeah, sorry I was late, guys. Work stuff. I have no idea what my question is going to be. I'm still very much feel like I'm trying to get up to speed. So I'm definitely interested in any like math working group. I feel like very similar to Roger, in the same boat where like I come from a formal math background, but like I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm really feel like I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the problem and understand it in the terms that everybody else is talking about. And I threw some questions out there, some things I was interested in, but I mean, this is like getting up to speed here is like not that trivial. So yeah, I'm still really the fact that you guys are talking about this is encouraging.
I'll put that as an extra +1 to the focused on onboarding and legibility and making this work overall more accessible without, again, sacrificing the technical. So like helping people get from join to I understand this seems like the most important thing that we could do.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's just a lot to sort of like I feel like when we listen to Danilo like in his sessions, like he's been in this for seems like a few years, and he's deep in like graph theory and like a lot of things that are like you can sort of pull up to speed like relatively quickly to know what's going on, but to be able to contribute, I think, is another level. Yeah, so that's kind of what I think. At least like for like I'm a total newcomer. I know Octopus is like a total newcomer, so for guys like us, it's like that's very tough, even though we're all relatively technical.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that these sessions exist to identify and close that gap, right? Like, if we were just trying to go full speed ahead, I mean, honestly, we have our own internal sessions for our project. We are doing a project, me and Danilo and Jaja and some of the members of the Block.Science team, and we're going to continue to run sort of full speed ahead on that based on the needs of the Gitcoin platform and like our relationship with them. But these sessions with the token engineering community are as much about transferring knowledge and like learning to communicate and collaborating as anything else. So sort of understand that it's not a problem that we need to slow down and work through stuff. It just needs to be identified so that we can accomplish this goal of making those fields more accessible, making it easier for people to understand how to practicalize them. Because I think one of the reasons people haven't used some of these methods for some time is they haven't been given a clearer path between their formal mathematical skills or education and the practical problems they face on a day-to-day basis. And if we can help fill that in, then I think we can sort of unlock those skills too.
That sounds awesome.
Quick question, YG Anderson. In particular, what kind of models were you looking to use? Because I recall you mentioning reinforcement learning.
Yeah, I'm
I mean, I'd
definitely.
love to discuss more on that too. I just don't see the RL part yet, but I'd love to discuss with you more on that on the side.
The reward function would generally, in this setting, be the actual matched funds, or at least the efficiency, sort of the matched funds per fund. The challenge that you get into, though, is if you're modeling a reinforcement learner against that, you're actually effectively modeling an attacker. So what's
Yes.
interesting is you would be taking real historical scenarios or synthesized artificial historical scenarios with counterfactual scenarios, using some of the data from the previous ones, the real ones, and then you would be running repeated simulations, and you'd let your attacker play, and they would play with a strategy that was learned through the reinforcement learning algorithm. And what you'd really be doing is training an attacker. It's an interesting idea, though I'm not 100% sure how you would use it to detect collusion. It's more effective for training a colluder. So, I mean, I guess the open question would be, like, if you could train a colluder, you could use it to sort of find optimal strategies quickly, and then thus measure optimality gap more efficiently. So there's some cool stuff that could come from that. But my instinct, listening to what you're saying, is that by using real historical scenarios and constructed counterfactual scenarios, you could actually develop a reinforcement learning agent. It would just be an attacker model. Yeah, I agree with that. It makes sense. I think it's pretty cool. I think the trick, though, is that if you're looking into reinforcement learning, most of the meat of it comes from the game that you create and the measure of the utility function. And then after that, the reinforcement learning at this point has been reduced to use these packages and tools, and poof, the answer pops out. But, like, what is the answer you got the answer to? And that's actually baked into how you defined the game they were playing, and the scenarios, so to speak, and the utility function they had. But thinking about it in terms of the cadCAD models and the actual outcomes in the quadratic funding, I would argue it's probably feasible using some of the research infrastructure that we've already built.
Yeah, I'm down to sit down for a day and try to crack down on the MDP, like just model as an MDP and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I definitely am interested in that topic too. I have like background in that type of stuff, sort of like attacking models and then defending against them. And I think pretty well described exactly like how the research would go. But I still think there's like some interesting stuff you could learn.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I think there's a lot to explore here. So glad we had this opportunity to explore all of the exciting initiatives coming out of the Token Engineering Academy research group. And it seems like we will need some kind of spin out working groups if it's a bunch of academy participants collaborating on specific models, or these spin out math working group. yeah, happy to make time. And of course, the sessions we have already booked are of course available. But there's definite opportunity for async work on some of these initiatives as well. So yeah, we can keep the Discord channel as a place to touch base. I'll drop in the notes and the recording from this call, and yeah, happy to discuss further async. And we will be having these open hacking and open academic, or sorry, the open hacking session is next week as well. The next one of these sessions will be 2 weeks from now, and that's all in the.
This
Yeah, go
session,
ahead.
I think we should reserve as a kind of, office hours for the research planning. And, obviously people can reach out in advance if they have agenda items they want to hit. We talked a bit about the, convex optimization, linear algebra, algebraic graph theory stuff. We talked about the reinforcement learning stuff. I think both of those are good topics for, sort of research planning and discussing of methods and sharing knowledge, and even in some bits maybe even pulling in some materials and talking about it in more detail to help people get on closer to the same level in those topics. But if I had to sort of recommend, I think we should use these sessions sort of like office hours with an agenda set like loosely in advance, similar to what we've done for like the One Hive sessions, where the goal is to have a sort of community driven, but then we have the sort of Danilo, myself, and maybe others depending on the topic coming in to provide like support, answer questions or recommendations, but still keeping it largely driven by what the community wants to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a really good point. There are some other kind of open collaboration modeling sessions going on. One with the One Hive community, Luna Swarm. There may be some interest of people. We're talking about like upskilling and kind of like learning the language of all of these multiple intersecting disciplines. So definitely these skills can be applied in multiple different areas. So there are some other open community explorations involving CAD and kind of this network science and yeah, a lot of the same concepts. So happy to invite anyone here who is interested in this stuff to participate in any of these other open collaborations too. They can be found on the token engineering calendar or the cadCAD calendar. And if you're really interested, I can shoot you a link, or it's all in the Notion document that's the link repo for everything going on in this initiative. So share some of those in the channel again. If anyone needs anything in particular, please feel free to reach out and DM me, and I can hook you up some links to get you more information. But I think that's all for today, unless there are any other final questions or closing thoughts. Good to let everyone else head off to their next call.
Jeff, really quick. So I arrived a bit late in the beginning. Where can I find that document so I can add just some of my notes on my questions?
I will drop it in the channel right now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Cool. Thank you so much for today.